Imagine surviving a plane crash when no one else does. Now imagine discovering that the last thing your father did saved your life. On November 13, 2021, a small commuter aircraft was preparing for what should have been a routine landing. The Island Airways twin-engine plane was approaching Welke Airport on Beaver Island in Lake Michigan. The flight had originated from Charlevoix, about 32 miles away. It was a short hop across familiar waters, a journey that regional pilots made regularly. Nothing about the flight plan suggested that this particular approach would be anything other than ordinary. Inside the aircraft were just a few people. Laney Perdue was 11 years old, sitting in that plane with her father, Mike Perdue. Mike was a real estate agent from Gaylord, Michigan. He was a working parent on what he thought was an ordinary day traveling with his daughter. 2 other passengers completed the small group, 5 people total. 4 people who would not survive the next 20 minutes. As the aircraft descended toward Beaver Island, everything seemed to be proceeding normally. Laney probably watched through the window as the landscape below grew larger. She was at an age where flying could still feel like an adventure. She had no reason to think that anything would go wrong. The plane was being guided in for landing. The pilots knew what they were doing. This was supposed to be routine. Then something went catastrophically wrong. The details of what caused the crash are part of the official investigation, but the outcome was unmistakable and violent. During its approach to Welke Airport, the aircraft struck the ground with tremendous force. The impact happened suddenly. The structure of the plane crumpled under the weight of physics and velocity. Metal twisted. Seats tore from their mountings. The interior became a scene of complete devastation. What happened in those final seconds defined everything that came after. As the plane was falling, as Mike Perdue understood that they were about to crash, he did the only thing a parent could do. He didn't hesitate. He didn't have time to think. He acted on pure instinct and love. According to Laney's mother, Christy Perdue, Mike wrapped his arms around his daughter. He held her as tightly as he possibly could. He pressed her body against his own, trying to shield her from what was coming. Laney's last clear memory before losing consciousness was of her father's arms around her. She felt him holding her really, really tight. That was the moment. That was the embrace that would determine whether she lived or died. When rescue workers arrived at the crash site and began working through the wreckage, they found something that statistically should not exist. Among all that devastation, one person was alive. An 11-year-old girl who remained conscious and responsive despite everything. The rescuers carefully extracted Laney from the wreckage. She was injured. She was frightened. She was in considerable pain. But she was breathing. She was alert. She was alive. The medical evaluation revealed the extent of Laney's injuries. She had sustained multiple broken bones throughout her body. Reports vary between 5 and 11 fractures. The injuries were serious and would require months of recovery. From a medical perspective, she was incredibly fortunate to have survived at all, but what the doctors discovered was even more remarkable. All of Laney's injuries were concentrated on one side of her body, the left side. The side that had been facing away from her father during impact. The side exposed to the full force of the crash. Meanwhile, the right side of her body, the side pressed against her father, showed far fewer and less severe injuries. The physical evidence told a powerful story. In his final moment, Mike Perdue had managed to shield his daughter from the worst of the impact. His body had absorbed forces that could have killed her. His bear hug had worked. But the price was that he did not survive. Neither did the other 2 passengers. 4 people boarded that aircraft. Only one walked away alive. Laney was transported to McLaren Northern Michigan Hospital and then transferred to pediatric care in Grand Rapids. The recovery process was long and difficult. She began in a wheelchair, unable to support her own weight. Gradually, as her bones healed, she progressed to crutches. Every movement was painful. Every step was a physical reminder of what her father had done. 4 weeks later, on December 11, 2021, Laney walked. Using crutches and with her family's support, she walked behind her father's casket at his funeral. She was not a passive victim being mourned. She was a daughter, still healing, honoring the father who had sacrificed everything for her. That image of a young girl walking behind her father's casket became the defining moment of her story. Years have passed. Laney Perdue has grown up. She is no longer a child. She carries physical reminders of that crash. She carries memories of her father's final embrace. The asymmetrical pattern of her injuries remains the most extraordinary proof of what one person's love can accomplish in a moment of crisis. One father's instinct. One desperate embrace. One second chance at life.